I bet you didn't know how crucial defining problems is in public administration. It's about making people's lives better. But before we can solve a problem, we have to know what that problem is. Sounds simple, right? Not so fast. Defining policy problems and objectives is the bedrock of effective governance. It's like building a house. You wouldn't start throwing bricks together without a blueprint. That's a recipe for disaster, or at least a very crooked house. Similarly, in public policy, clearly defined problems and objectives are our blueprints. They provide direction, they guide decision-making, and they help us measure success, or at least how far off we were from hitting that target with our brick. Without clear problem definition and objectives, we're just throwing policies at the wall and hoping something sticks. Spoiler alert, it rarely does. And then we're left with a bigger mess than we started with. And nobody wants that, especially not the people we're supposed to be serving.
Welcome, I'm Henrietta Celeste Mealieb, and today we'll explore the foundation of effective governance.
So how do we define a policy problem? It's more than just saying this thing is bad. We need to dig deeper. We need evidence. We need context. First, we need to understand how people perceive the issue. What's keeping them up at night? What are their concerns? Public perception is powerful. It can make or break a policy, but perception isn't always reality. That's why we need data, hard, cold facts. Numbers don't lie, although they can be manipulated, but that's a topic for another day. We need to analyze the data, understand the trends, and identify the root causes of the problem. We also need to consider the context. What are the social, economic, and political factors at play? How does this problem intersect with other issues? Ignoring the context is like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing. You might get a vague idea, but you're missing the bigger picture. Defining policy problems is rarely straightforward. It's a messy business, filled with complexities and uncertainties. There are often conflicting viewpoints, competing interests, and a whole lot of grey areas that make consensus difficult. One of the biggest challenges is ambiguity. The lack of clear definitions and boundaries can lead to confusion. The causes and consequences of a problem can be complex and intertwined, making it hard to pinpoint where to start. It's like untangling a giant ball of yarn. Each thread represents a different aspect of the issue. You pull on one thread and it just seems to get more knotted, complicating the situation further. Then there's the issue of conflicting stakeholder interests. Each group has its own priorities and concerns. What's good for one group might be detrimental to another, creating a tug-of-war over resources and policies. Finding solutions that balance these competing needs is like walking a tightrope. It requires precision and care. One false move and everyone falls, leading to potential setbacks and conflicts. And let's not forget about the data, or lack thereof. Reliable information is crucial, but often hard to come by. Sometimes the information we need simply doesn't exist, or it's unreliable, or it's buried under a mountain of bureaucracy, making it difficult to access. It's enough to make you want to tear your hair out. But fear not. There are strategies to manage these challenges. Despite these challenges, there are ways to navigate this maze. With the right approach, solutions can be found. We need to be rigorous in our analysis, open to different perspectives, and willing to adapt as new information emerges. Collaboration and flexibility are key. Once we have a handle on the problem, we need to figure out what we want to achieve. This is where policy objectives come in. They are the desired outcomes, the targets we're aiming for. Objectives give us a sense of direction. They tell us where we're going and how we'll know when we get there. Without clear objectives, we're just wandering aimlessly in the policy wilderness. Think of it like this. You're going on a road trip. You wouldn't just get in your car and start driving without knowing your destination, would you? Unless you're playing a very boring game of let's see where we end up, which, let's be honest, rarely ends well. Policy objectives are our roadmap. They tell us where we're going and how we're going to get there. They need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. In other words, they need to be smart. Section 5. SMART Goals, a blueprint for success. The SMART criteria provide a framework for setting effective policy objectives. These criteria ensure that goals are clear, trackable, and achievable. Let's break it down, shall we? Each letter in SMART stands for a key component. Don't be vague. Specificity is crucial. Pinpoint exactly what you want to achieve. The more detailed, the better. Instead of saying reduce crime, a specific objective would be reduce violent crime in urban areas by 15%. This clarity helps in focusing efforts. You need a way to track progress and determine success. This is where measurability comes in. How will you measure the outcome? What metrics will you use? What data will you collect? Consistent data collection is key. A measurable objective uses concrete numbers, percentages, or other quantifiable indicators. This makes it easier to track progress. Be realistic. Ambition is good, but practicality is better. Don't set goals that are impossible to reach given the available resources and time constraints. This can lead to frustration and demotivation. Shooting for the stars is admirable, but sometimes you just need to aim for a slightly lower hanging celestial body. Balance ambition with realism. Objectives should be aligned with the overall policy problem and address the identified needs. Relevance ensures that efforts are not wasted. Don't waste time and resources on objectives that are tangential or irrelevant to the core issue. Focus is key. Establish a clear time frame for achieving the objective. Deadlines create a sense of urgency. This creates urgency and accountability. Everyone knows what needs to be done and by when. A deadline can be a powerful motivator, unless you're a procrastinator, in which case it just leads to a lot of last-minute panicking. But even then, it pushes you to get things done. Section 6. Shaping the agenda, prioritizing policy issues. Not all problems are created equal. Some are more urgent, demanding immediate attention and resources. Some are more politically charged, sparking intense debates and divisions. And some are just more interesting to talk about, capturing public imagination and media headlines. This is where agenda setting comes in, playing a crucial role in shaping public discourse. Agenda setting is the process of deciding which issues get attention and which ones get swept under the rug. It's about prioritization and strategic focus. It's about deciding what matters most to the community and policymakers. Think of it like a giant to-do list, where some tasks are more pressing than others. You can't tackle everything at once. You need to prioritize to make meaningful progress. You need to focus on the most important and urgent tasks, ensuring they are addressed first. The same goes for public policy, where prioritization is key to effective governance. There are various theories about how agenda setting works, each offering a unique perspective. Some argue it's driven by public opinion, reflecting the will of the people. Others say it's all about political maneuvering and interest group pressure, where power dynamics play a significant role. The reality is, it's probably a bit of both, with multiple factors influencing the agenda. Influential factors include media coverage, public outcry, political ideology, and of course money. Whoever shouts the loudest and waves the biggest checkbook often gets their issue on the agenda, highlighting the complex interplay of power and influence. Section 7. Understanding the player's stakeholder analysis. In the world of public policy, we're rarely dealing with simple two-sided issues. It's more like a multiplayer game with a whole cast of characters, each with their own motivations and agendas. Stakeholder analysis is all about identifying these players and understanding their roles in the policy process. Who's affected by the issue? Who has the power to influence outcomes? Who's likely to support or oppose different solutions? We can group stakeholders into different categories. There are the primary stakeholders, the ones directly affected by the problem. Then there are the secondary stakeholders, who are indirectly affected or who have a vested interest in the outcome. And then there are the key stakeholders, the big players who wield significant influence. Understanding the stakeholders is crucial for building consensus, mitigating opposition, and developing effective policy solutions. It's about knowing your audience, playing the game strategically, and hopefully coming out on top, or at least not getting completely played. Section 8. Framing the narrative, shaping policy perceptions. Framing is a powerful tool in policymaking. It's about shaping the narrative, influencing how people perceive an issue. It's about choosing the right words, highlighting certain facts, and appealing to people's emotions. Think of it like marketing. You're trying to sell an idea. You're trying to convince people to buy into your vision. And just like any good marketing campaign, you need to know your target audience, craft a compelling message, and choose the right channels to reach them. There are various techniques for framing issues. You can use metaphors and analogies to make complex ideas more relatable. You can appeal to people's values and beliefs. You can highlight the benefits of your proposed solution or the dire consequences of inaction. Framing is about persuasion. It's about winning hearts and minds. It's about getting people to see the issue your way. And when done effectively, it can be the key to unlocking policy change. Section 9. Conclusion: a holistic approach to public policy. Defining policy problems and objectives is not a one-and-done deal. It's an iterative process, constantly evolving as new information emerges and the political landscape shifts. It's about being adaptable, being responsive, and always keeping the needs of the people at the forefront of our minds. It's about striving for solutions that are effective, equitable, and sustainable. And most importantly, it's about remembering that behind every policy problem, there are real people whose lives are affected. Their stories matter. Their voices deserve to be heard. So let's approach public policy with compassion, with integrity, and with a relentless determination to make the world a slightly less terrible place, one policy at a time.